we look at basically what does a media company move, how do our customers have changed. And our customers, by the way, at Cygnus, we look at customers and not just the people who buy space in the magazines or booths or sponsorships or show up at trade shows. We think they're all customers. We think people who read our magazines, who support us, who go to our websites, they're all of our customers. And they've changed radically. And I am old enough to be in the industry well before the web, and started what was the magazine industry. And it was a pile of magazines on a desk, and what you wanted to do is be the one that's picked up first. And we all learned our tricks of the trade on the covers and headlines and colors and things like that, but it has just changed so radically from there. People and our customers get information, as we know, everywhere, 24/7. They make their choices, they customize it, and unfortunately we become a small slice of that information flow. So how do you break out of that type of world that's gone from here to virtually every device possible to communicate? We used to think exclusive content would win over. And how many times back in the magazine business you'd come out with an editorial review, or we won the latest editorial contest or whatever it may be, or even the Jesse Neal Awards have morphed. I mean, it used to be a Jesse Neal Award was in print, and it represented an old type of technology or deliverance of technology, and now of course it's also broadened out to virtually every channel possible, including online and webinars and e-newsletters. But it used to be if you had good content and you had exclusive content, you could break through. And we feel a little bit different than that. We think that the 21st century B2B customer, consumers, they define their own information. They choose how they're going to receive it, and what in ways they're going to receive it. We used to think of product development in terms of what we come up with, whether it was a new magazine or a new supplement or a new trade show or a new way of going to market. And product development is really morphed into a customer engagement. And this is something that we all talk about. There's nothing astounding here, but it's the ability to reach out and engage with the customer and make sure that you're interesting enough and compelling enough, and you're delivering your information in the right platform in order to keep them coming back. The customer is king, or at least driving the carriage, and this is kind of a cute way of saying that, look at, in terms of information providers, we all have to gear our message to the customer, and the customer is the one that's consuming the information. In order to do that, in today's B2B organizations, the architecture has to change. And we at Cygnus have taken a very fresh look on how we have the opportunity we had to reorganize the company. And frankly, it was one of the best opportunities I've had in my career, because when we came in 18 months ago, we had a company that we all know that was in tough shape financially. It had a tough balance sheet problem. The press on the company was negative for years. It was a really difficult situation. But those of us on the team and myself looked at it and said, that's an opportunity. So what did we do? Basically, we took our verticals. In Cygnus, we have three major verticals. We have a diversified group, and then we have a smaller vertical in agriculture. But here's the big change. What we did was we took our verticals and said one executive vice president will be in charge of that vertical, whatever it may be. In our case, it's construction. The second one is public safety, and then the third one is aviation. So we have a lot of products in these different industries, but we said it would be one person who wakes up every day and has nothing on their mind except for putting Cygnus's aviation or construction or public safety products in front in the customer, engaging the customer, and number one in anything we do, whether it be the magazines or online or trade shows and data. I've also reorganized companies in the past, and we've all done this. You take the magazine people and you align them with the digital people, and that's the group. And then the trade show guys still exist somewhere over here, and if you're fortunate enough to have any data products, they're kind of over here. And we radically turned that upside down. We said under one leadership, they're going to be the magazine folks, the digital folks, the trade show folks, and the people who are working data. That enables every product in Cygnus to go to market, to go to our customers with one single focus under one leadership. Then we went down to the next rung of the organization and said, you know what? The world of all these verticals is really made up of three areas. One is sales, one is content, and the other is marketing. And the sales one was a little bit confusing for some of our folks, because we have publishers who are salespeople, we have salespeople who are selling trade shows, we have salespeople who are selling data products. So it's a little bit of like most companies, a mixed bag. But we also believe that the leadership of sales should be under one individual. I had the fortunate experience of about a month after we reorganized our first vertical, which was in aviation. And I flew over to Michigan, actually, the middle of Ann Arbor, Michigan. in a small private plane, because in the aviation industry, those of us who are in it, if you go calling a customer and you fly commercial, then your chances of getting the business is not very good. So you need to take a small private plane and use their private aviation services. So from Wisconsin, we flew over Lake Michigan, and we ended up in Ann Arbor, and I walked in, and there's a company called Fuel, Aviation Fuel. And it's a company we had before. We just miserably treated the customer 3 or 4 years ago. They dropped out. They're an industry leader, and we were going to get the business back. And we went through, and I went through the architecture of the new Cygnus Aviation and how the four parts of the organization are in one focus, under one leadership. And I had the leader with me, this guy named Pat Nadler, who's our executive vice president of aviation. And the president of AV, Fuel, sat back about halfway through the meeting. He says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on a second." I said, "What's up?" He said, "You got it." He said, I got what?" And he said, "You finally figured out, somebody finally figured out that when I talk to your company, I want to talk to you as the aviation division and everything that goes into it, and don't send me salespeople from here and from there and different proposals, and I have to become the integrator. You are the integrator, so let's start talking." Now the second part is the VP of marketing. And the VP of marketing in most B2B companies, unfortunately, at least the ones I've been associated with, they were not VPs. They were marketing managers. And they tended to send out notices of what was upcoming in the next issue or the next trade show or the next webinar or something, and it was just simple marketing. We think we can bring it a level well beyond that, because the VP of marketing in our affinity groups, they're in charge of all messages that leave Cygnus within an affinity group. What I mean by that is that they are in charge of the marketing for the trade shows, for the magazines, for anything digital. And frankly, when we're in audience development, they work very closely with our audience development teams to actually unify the message to even the people who will read our magazines, what Cygnus Aviation is and what Cygnus Construction is and so forth. It's a holistic view of marketing that we don't think anyone else has taken. And we take marketing very, very seriously, because as you know, within B2B, some of the worst marketers in terms of expenditures in industry are us. The final part of it is the VP of content, and that's the one we're most excited about. We have one person who is responsible for all the content in the magazines, what's happening in the educational tracks in the trade show, what we're doing online and through our data products. And that person is a czar. That person is a content czar. And that's kind of a nickname that's been kicking around the company, because they have total responsibility of the content, the quality and the delivery of that content. And it takes a very, very special editorial person to do that. And fortunately, we had a few in-house that stepped up and did it. Our organizational architecture supports a few things, and I won't go through each one of these, you can read them, but a cohesive plan with a direct line of sight to the customer. If I say that one more time internally, I think people are going to throw me out the window, but I think that's the most important thing, that one line of sight to the customer, where that customer be someone who buys our products, attends our trade shows, or reads our magazines. They're all customers to us. And the ability for advertisers to buy across more platforms. I mentioned that earlier with the advertiser I was talking to in the aviation industry. And we think our brands are strengthened by the others, by within the affinity group. And let's face it, there are certain brands in every company, in every group, that are not as strong as the super brands. And you know, in my experience has been the people who are publishing or running the trade shows of the good brands don't want to associate the ones that are weaker. You know what? That time has changed too, because we have to work together. And if you have weaker brands with the affinity group, the big guys, the successful guys, have to work with them to improve the quality and the perception in the industry.